All right.
Council President has joined us. Council President, good afternoon.
I am getting an ink pen. Give me 1 second so that I can take my notes. Okay, I'm ready. Hey, Toni. Hey, George.
Good afternoon.
Hey, everybody. Are we ready? Good afternoon to everyone. It is good to see everyone this very good day. We woke up this day, so we are given another chance. And I always say it's good to see everyone because during these times, we have had and have lost quite a few people. So it's truly good for me to be able to look and see your face, and for the faces that I cannot see your name. Because I know if I see your name, you are amongst the living, and it is good to see you all. Again, I am your Detroit City Council President, Brenda Jones, and welcome to our first coming back from recess, live from the table for the fall season following the short summer recess, because many people continue to work during this summer recess that we were on. We are also live on Facebook, and I see Boysie Jackson smiling, so that meant he was working during this short recess that we were on. And Toni is smiling. I see those smiling faces when I said many people continue to work. So that means you guys continued on at it. I had to take a pause for the cause. We are live on Facebook, and that is www.facebook.com/Brenda Jones. As we are approaching the end of the summer, I just want to ensure that the city of Detroit is proactive in developing a plan for restaurants, hospitality, and nightlife operations that are still impacted by social distancing requirements. And I say they are impacted. We all should still be impacted by social distancing. We all should be doing the social distancing and making sure that once we go out, we have our mask on. The purpose of today's business engagement roundtable is to connect people with the entities responsible for planning operations for the industry within these winter months that are coming real fast. I think the temperature dropped tremendously today, and it's been dropping, and so we know that the winter months are approaching. The Business Engagement Roundtable also will present information on opportunities to provide services on corporate work sites and also at corporate events. We have over 30 businesses represented today. After the event, my office will share their contact information with the mayor's office and other corporate entities for additional outreach and engagement for various opportunities and further discussion on winter operations. Today, joining me, and I've already mentioned some of the names, and the first smile I looked at, as I said, joining me is Toni Stewart-Limmitt, who is the Officer of Contracting and Procurement. You're looking good over there, girl.
Thank you.
Jessica Parker, Building Safety and Engineering Department, and she's smiling as well. Glenn Davis, Building Safety and Engineering Department. Stepping in for Marcell Todd because he had an emergency and we're going to keep him and his family in prayer, is City Planning Commission George Etheridge. Bowman from the Mayor's Office. Adrian Tonon from the Mayor's Office. Malloy-Marcon And I'm probably pronouncing some of these names wrong, so you guys just come behind me and correct me, because I have no problem with being corrected, especially when I pronounce your name wrong. Department of Public Works, Scott Withington, Health Department. Commander Franklin Hayes, Detroit Police Department. Amanda Saab, Civil Rights, Inclusion and Opportunity. Mike Sullivan, Rock Family of Companies. Laura Sigmon, Best Practices Consultant. Boysie Jackson, you know I'm not going to leave your name out, Boysie, because he is truly smiling over there. A director of purchasing, procurement, and everything else he does over there. And I'm seeing a lot of names who are not listed on my list, but we will get to those names as we continue moving forward, and everyone will have an opportunity to introduce themselves. Welcome to all of you, and welcome to our business representatives. Before we begin this roundtable discussion, Toni, I'm going to just ask if you would give us a brief overview of Detroit Bid Week that is taking place right now, September the 8th through the 14th. Toni, kick it off.
Thank you, Council President. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. Today, we are excited to introduce our Detroit Bid Week to you. This is something that came out of our Equity Procurement Council. And so I'd like to have our leader of the Equity Procurement Council, Mr. Boysie Jackson, to give you a brief overview of why we wanted to have a bid week. Mr. Jackson, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, good afternoon. Thanks, President Jones. Thanks, Toni, as well. This is an exciting week for all of us as we continue to roll out initiatives between the City Council and the administration in terms of communicating and sharing opportunities with all of you in the city of Detroit. Not too long ago, we had about 20% of the contracts in the city that were awarded to Detroit certified businesses. We're up to 57% now, and President Jones and her group continually challenging me to make sure that the things that we procure in the city of Detroit, and we're talking billions, are continually shared, exposed, being very transparent to all of you that are interested. Today, you have many members from the administration and others, organizations that are here to provide you information. We're asking that you listen today. We're asking that you participate, and we are going to continue these kinds of initiatives during the course of this week. So I'm glad to be here, and I thank all of you for participating.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Council President, one last thing we'd like to mention in closing is that we have a lot of opportunities on our website this week, and those website opportunities include food purchases, snow plow, HVAC, plumbing, security, a numerous amount of things. If you are interested in learning more about it, we ask you to visit www.detroitmi.gov/supplier. You can look at the open bids there. And if you are interested in speaking with me directly for additional assistance, you can contact me at 313-378-8362. Those food opportunities are available, and so you can reach me and I can give you all of the details on how to secure those opportunities. We continuously have opportunities for our Parks and Recreations Department, as well as those city council members. When they have events, they are looking to purchase food, or other departments. So we encourage you to visit our website and to take a look at those scope of services for any food related purchases that we have going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And that kicks it off real well. And to have both you and Mr. Jackson kick it off is awesome. I'm going to now turn it over to a few people as we move forward, and that would be Caitlin Marcon. Pronounce it correctly for me, Caitlin. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Unmute myself. It is Caitlin Marcon. You're very close.
Okay. Amanda Saab, Scott Withington, Commander Franklin Hayes, Jessica Parker, and Glenn Davis will talk about the permitting and the enforcement process for outdoor cafes and anything else they think that's important for this summer. You guys have the floor. Who would like to begin?
Great. So I will kick it off, and then my partners from sister agencies can fill in the gaps for their particular areas of expertise. But earlier this summer, when the governor issued the executive order allowing for restaurants to reopen with sit-down or dine-in seating, it was at a reduced capacity, at 50% capacity. And we decided to put our heads together and think of ways that we might be able to help restaurants make up for that lost capacity indoors by using outdoor spaces. And so we partnered with City Council to modify what our normal outdoor cafe process looks like, to expedite issuing those permits to allow for quick and easy access for the local businesses, but then also to get creative in what sorts of spaces we would allow restaurants to use. So in our typical cafe seating program, the Department of Public Works will issue sidewalk cafe permits. So any restaurant that abuts a sidewalk that's wide enough to allow for seating and tables as well as for ADA access could apply to the Department of Public Works for a permit. We expanded that to include not only the traditional sidewalk program, which is still up and running. We also offered a parklet program in which we allow for restaurants to use the parking spaces in front of their restaurant to also put additional tables. We also opened it up for full street closures in areas that may have more than one restaurant on the street and or neighbors that would allow for the street to be closed and for restaurants to be able to pull tables out into the street and do dine-in service there. As well as then we partnered with BSEED, and BSEED then allowed for private parking lots to be converted into outdoor dining space. And so I will let BSEED talk to the particulars of that space, and they can also answer any questions you have on private parking lots. But that's essentially what we did at the beginning. That was back in June. And that program does now expire in November. Our council resolution goes through November. And we are currently, once again, in conversations about what do we do past November. And we are having those discussions with everybody that is on the call today. Again, DPW, Civil Rights and Inclusion, BSEED, the Health Department, Police Department, Fire Department. And we're all trying to come up with safe solutions that might still allow for added capacity for restaurants. But that's my, my short spiel of how we got to where we are. But anybody else can feel free to fill in the gaps.
So good afternoon, everyone. Council President Jones, thank you for having me and for having BSEED. I'll kick it off for us. I'm Jessica Parker, Chief Enforcement Officer for the department. And we were excited to hear about this opportunity for the outdoor dining to accommodate the governor's request for social distancing. So we were on board with trying to help businesses out. So the first part, I'll also introduce Glenn Davis. He is my colleague. He's the Chief of Over Construction. The bigger portion of it will come from him, but just for me, I'm over property maintenance, which is code enforcement. I'll just note that when it comes over to me at that point, it's either because of a complaint, if we have a citizen, a neighbor, someone that complains in regards to the actual building, and then also I'm checking for the certificate of compliance of the building, making sure the building itself is into code compliance. And then once construction checks the permits that the applicant may apply for as far as the outdoor space, once that is approved, my division goes behind them just to make sure they're still in code compliance. So from there, I will let Mr. Glenn Davis, the Chief of Construction, take it. Thank you.
I too, President Council Jones, we both are elated to participate in allowing for this opportunity for businesses to expand to the degree in which they can safely do so. When it comes to the Buildings and Safety Division, Construction Division, which I oversee, typically when they go to the parking lot or to an area where they're sharing the street, they will apply for a permit for a tent. Tents fall up under our jurisdiction, where we make sure they're installed correctly and safety is abided by. Also, the tent, if it gets so as to they're wanting to enclose the tent, that might create another issue, but that's something that we can have discussion with them about as far as all of the safety measures that should be taken. But we would use that, and then any exterior lighting that would be installed will also need to be looked at by my inspectors so that matters can remain safe while they are able to convene during their time of having a meal. And basically that's the only input that we have. After that, there are some grant conditions, of course, where that's where Ms. Parker and her team will make sure that they stay as much in compliance with as possible. But aside from that, that would be all that we would do, facilitating that issue.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Saab, and I work in the Civil Rights, Inclusion, and Opportunity Department, specifically in the Detroit Business Opportunity Program known as DBOP. And as we talk about all of these programs, I want to encourage those who still have questions or need more information to please visit DetroitMeansBusiness.org. There you'll find actual toolkits that kind of outline the outdoor seating, the cafe requirements, everything you kind of need in a one-stop shop. And if you need more resources, one-on-one financial assistance, that sort of thing, that's also available through DetroitMeansBusiness.org. As it relates to the Detroit Business Opportunity Program, if you're interested in being certified as a Detroit-based business, as we go into bid week and look at different contracts and opportunities that are available, I encourage you to please apply online. It's detroit.gov/civil rights inclusion and opportunity. And there you'll find more information.
And hi, this is Scott Withington. I'm with the Detroit Health Department, as you may guess, because we're talking restaurants. Obviously, the health department's involved, and also from the standpoint of the COVID requirements from the state, we're involved. I was very pleased with how the process went overall. We've had some complaints about some of the operations, but most of those have been relatively easy to resolve. And we, as Caitlin said, we're beginning the discussions on what would need to be considered for the differences of trying to do food dining outside during the winter as opposed to during the summer.
On in, Commander.
Good afternoon, everyone. As always, Madam Council President, it is a pleasure to come before you and be a part of this this informational symposium to winterize many of the businesses that look to offer an experience at the change of the seasons. I simply come to you as your safety partner. When you look to add your experience, whether it be a parklet or whether it be some type of parking lot design that is your vision, we're there to assist you. incidents of public safety, if you may see congregating, things from vagrancy, things along that line. My office, the members of DPD stand ready to work with you so that, again, we can all be this downtown, wherever we are in the city, a pleasurable experience when those that come to the city of Detroit to have a good time. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Did we get everyone? Okay. Thank you. So now I'm going to move over to Adrian, who is the Director of Customer Service, or should I say Adrian is also the city's nighttime ambassador. And Adrian is going to talk about how nightclubs and nightlife facilities operated this summer under social distancing restrictions. Adrian.
Madam President, it's an honor to be here. Absolutely. So we'll start with, has anybody been downtown or in the neighborhoods even from 12 p.m. to 3 in the morning? You'll see that, especially downtown, that Detroit, the neighborhoods are enjoying downtown, to where maybe 7 months ago, some constituents felt like this is not for me. Everyone's down having a good time. So the priority was to keep, our residents and our visitors safe, healthy. We created a coalition with the health department led by Scott, DPD led by Commander Hayes, DPW, and a few other agencies, and really worked with the businesses, especially the night venues, the rooftops, to really practice best practices. It was very successful. We had some issues, obviously. My role is I'm able to work with the venues, the promoters, in order to be proactive on what the task force health and DPD are and our mandate, our governor is pushing. At first, I believe that we have been organizing for the last 2 years to really get everyone unified and on the same page. So pulling everyone together was easy in a sense, but getting everyone to practice off the first couple days was a bit of a task. But working together, we absolutely felt that we had a successful season. I don't think it's just DPD that has to enforce. I think it's an ecosystem of proactiveness and everybody supporting DPD, including the parking lot owners, including business owners, in order to support what is officially the enforcement arm, which is DPD. This last summer, we have had some issues with so many people being down there. We've been successful with masks and entering certain venues, but we have obviously taken many guns off the street. I think that's an awareness thing. Some residents don't really know the laws of carrying a gun. We've had some shootings. We've had some things that I know DPD and many others are working on in order to be proactive to come back next year and to be better. But if you look at who's enjoying the city, it's very inspirational. And I think that in order for it to be sustainable, we have to create awareness. We have a very unique opportunity that we have spaces where young Detroit is gathering. And if we're able to get resources, if we're able to get awareness, and we're able to do different things in these spaces are the conveners. The clubs, the music are the conveners to push social awareness, social impact, a seat at the table, resources, all these different things. So our nightlife and our music economy is very, very important to the fabric of our city. And it's just to be able to lead this with my Deputy Director, Jabari Jefferson, who is started at GDYT, and now he's joined the team officially, has just been an amazing experience. And so many people have come together. And it's just such an honor to work with, with all the agencies in the city, the constituents, and the club owners and promoters. It's a very important role. It's not all about the party. We talk about 24-hour economy. When I walk into a room and someone says, "Oh, the party's not here," I say, "You want to see a real 24-hour economy? Go to Henry Ford Hospital." When a doctor, a nurse, a janitor gets out at 5, 6 in the morning, is there a restaurant to go to, a dry cleaner to go to, a grocery store to go to? It creates jobs in a time where most people are sleeping, but there is a true economy, and it creates jobs for Detroiters. So we have a lot of work to do, but we are organized, and we've created a coalition and unified the city from Teresa's on 6 Mile to Greektown downtown.
Okay.
Any
Thank
questions?
you so much, Adrian. And so now I'm going to open the floor up to our participating restaurants and club owners to talk about their experience during these past summer months during the COVID. And in order to participate, what I ask that you do is raise your hand within the Zoom application, and you can raise your hand by clicking raise hand in the application or by pressing the ALT plus the Y for the Windows or option plus Y for an Apple's computer. If you are a business owner on the phone, please press 9 to raise your hand. City representatives, I'm going to ask that you take notes so that you can respond after the business's contact. I see one hand up already. I love it. And that is Corktown Business. Corktown Business, if we can unmute you, you have been unmuted, I believe. Okay, you are unmuted.
There we go. Bob Roberts, Corktown Business Association, also owner of McShane's Irish Pub at Michigan and Trumbull in Corktown. First, I think it's appropriate to thank the coalition that the city put together, both with first off the speed, at which you're able to change the permitting process and allow for street closures and so forth. We were lucky enough to take advantage of 3 closures, 2 of which are very active, and the third of which we're still trying to figure out how to activate and get a little bit more business down there. So anyway, appreciate that. Moving forward into the colder months, obviously what makes sense is in these spaces to put in temporary tents and heaters and so forth. And I guess, I think that we have maybe about 3 different scenarios. One scenario would be the few public spaces that we have where we've shut down some streets and put up some, some tents and whatnot. So that question would be, how long? I know that the state has increased, has extended their licenses for an extra month. I hope that they extend them again. I don't know if you have any insight on that or not. But certainly we'd like to use these outside areas as long as the outside public areas as long as possible. So that would be my first question: is how long do we think we can use these outside public areas? My second question would be then a private property, or I shouldn't really say private property, but as an example, a sidewalk. One of our restaurants is licensed by both the state and the city for the space in front of their building. Whether or not we would be allowed to tent that area, and then additionally would be, and so that's an area that's already licensed for liquor, beer, wine service and food service. And then the third one would be that if we do have a space that's not currently licensed and they would now like to get that space licensed and tenant, what the process might be for that. So I know that's a lot of questions, but mostly we wanted to say thank you, but just get a little bit of clarification moving forward.
Thank you. Who would like to respond? Go right ahead. Kayla?
Hi. So I am going to respond to your first couple questions, and then I'm going to kick it over to BSEED to talk about private property. So first of all, it's fantastic to hear that the program helped and that you, some of the businesses in Corktown were able to take advantage of that. As far as public right-of-way spaces go, so that's street closures and sidewalk and parklets. though that program expires with the council resolution in November. We are actively working with internal departments to decide on what safe protocols might be able to move forward into the winter months. And we will actively be then working with city council, which we'd have to go back with another resolution for a winter program. So I don't have all of that outlined for you, but just know that it's an active conversation that, you know, everybody that's already chimed in here is part of that conversation, and we're moving it forward as quickly as we can, but that is being worked on. So again, that expires in November. All permits that we've issued would expire in November, but we are trying to come up with a safe program that might be able to be used through the winter months. I'm going to put one other caveat on that, just because it's Corktown and many of your businesses are on Michigan Avenue. Michigan Avenue is a state road. And the state, the Michigan Department of Transportation gave us, the city of Detroit, temporary permission to issue sidewalk cafe permits on their behalf. And that only goes through November. So even if the city is able to pull together a program that council then approves of via resolution, we also then have to work with the Michigan Department of Transportation on whether or not they would allow for it. And I tell you all of this because they would not allow for tents or parklets on their property for the summer program. So I'm not optimistic for the winter program, but it's something that we're going to be working with them on and asking for. So I think that answers my part of the questions, and I'll kick it over to BSEED and then maybe to Scott with the health department to talk about your other questions. But if you have any, or you need any clarification on that, please feel free to ask again. So.
Yeah, and this is Scott from the health department. The two probably biggest issues that will present, obviously the two big changes for the winter are the temperature and snow. Snow, of course, presents some issues that have to be addressed in what the rules would be. And then the temperatures, of course, lead to people wanting to use tents. But by the governor's executive orders, they define that an indoor space is defined as an area that has a full or partial roof and a full or partial walls, which would mean a tent with even one wall would be considered an indoor space by the executive order. So it would be bound by the same restrictions that are on indoor spaces inside buildings, including gathering sizes and so on. So those are two things that that we'll be working on the language on how to explain that to people. And of course, as everyone knows, the executive orders are prone to changing without a lot of warning. I did miss part of the question, Corktown. What was the other question for health?
I think that was the entire question. Did we miss anything on that question? Okay.
Council President, part of the question, I'm not sure if it's going to answer, but I wrote it down. It said private properties are allowed to tent on space in front of the building by state and the city for liquor and food. Would those areas be available in the winter months? And then also, what is the process for spaces to get licensed that are not already?
So the liquor license, of course, that is the Michigan Liquor Control Commission is the primary for addressing that part of the question. In terms of space on private property, the main issue from health would be that issue about tents might turn it into an indoor space per the executive orders. But most of the other issues relating to health are pretty much the same in the winter and the summer, other than obviously you have to take precautions for your space relating to the fact that it's colder there. That did bring up the question of heaters, and the fire marshal would be the one that would be weighing in on the ability to use either fires or heaters or something of that nature outdoors.
And if I may, this is Glenn Davis with BSEED. In regards to the use of tents, as far as where they're going to be placed, wherever the permissions are given for the space to be used as a cafe. That entity is who would grant the okay for the tent. And as far as the tent installation, my team would be in pursuit of making sure that that would be installed correctly and safety was complied with, as well as I have my team will be involved with any kind of heating vessels that might be used. And of course, I would have to speak with Mr. Withington with regards to the walls being designated as a, or the canopy, if that's what it would be called. It wouldn't be considered walls, it would be a canopy, but we can have further private discussion on that matter as to whether or not it would be designated as 4 walls or an inside space.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to is if you look at the FAQ for the executive orders, the definition they use of what is considered an indoor space, it says a full or partial roof and full or partial walls, which would suggest that even 2 walls around a tent would make it an indoor space by the executive order. Of course, during the winter, you have significant windstorms that I'm sure Glenn has guidelines on what would be needed to protect against that and prevent the tent from becoming a projectile.
All right, I see someone with a raised hand, and I think I said press 9. It is actually *9. Press *9 if you have a question. I see Ping, P-I-N-G, raise their hand. If you can please unmute.
Hi, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Ping, and I'm the owner of a couple of restaurants, Marrow in the West Village, co-owner at Mink in Corktown, and also The Royce, which is a wine bar and shop downtown. So all 3 venues have outdoor spaces currently. So I have a couple of questions just to clarify what was said about the new program that will be announced to replace the parklet space program. How soon is that going to be announced? Because if BSEED has to approve all tents and heaters, as what I heard from Ms. Davis, then we're kind of running out of time, because the lead time for getting these equipment, from the heaters to tents, and also getting a covering for my pergola at Marrow, these things take time, and I'm in the throes of actually planning them. And I'm just afraid that by the time we get everything squared off, the weather's already, chilly, and we've lost a few weeks, if not a month. And that's pretty critical. And so that's kind of my first question on timing and timeline.
Well, Ping, I don't know if you're registered online. You can get permits online. That turnaround time for obtaining a permit would be probably 24 to 48 hours. So 1 or 2 days maximum, provided you provide the necessary information so that it can proceed with being processed.
Yeah, I was going to say that if you're already registered for the summer program, we've already talked about, we would send notifications to the email address that is in that was connected with the summer program when we have the rules available. So those would, I can't speak exactly how long it'll be, but we would notify everyone who registered for the summer program about the rules for the winter program as soon as they're available.
Yeah, no, I was referring to the winter program because I am registered and operational for the summer program, but just wondering about how long it will take for the winter program to be announced, and then if there are guidelines on what kind of tents and what kind of heaters to use. I'm just saying that, these take time, and I'm afraid that, timing is gonna be at a disadvantage for us if, it's already cold and we can't open up with tents and heaters.
Catalin, if you can unmute her, please.
Hi, Ping. I just wanted to clarify. So your spaces, I think, well, 3 of them at least. I don't think Marrow is in the public right of way, but your spaces are in the public right of way, and that is the program. You cannot submit to BSEED right now for a tent in the public right of way. We have to do program modifications, and we hear you on the timing. And we really are trying to get things together as quickly as possible. There's so many moving parts to make sure that it's going to be allowable at the state level. First of all, that would dictate what the city's actually allowed to do, but then also at the city level, what is safe. When we're talking about things in the public right of way, we have to consider snow and plowing and how that works. We have to consider, you know, property maintenance and ADA issues. And so there's a lot of moving parts, but we are, again, we've already met a few times. We're continuing to meet, and we want to get out an announcement for something in the winter as soon as possible. But that does, again, entails us going to council. There's just a number of steps that we have to go through. Everybody that you've heard from today is supportive of trying to make sure that we can continue this programming through the winter. But figuring out the details is where we are right now. So we hear you, and thank you for, you know, continuing to remind us of timelines and deadlines. But when we created the program back in June, I think we were all hoping we weren't going to be here in September. But this is where we are, and again, we want to support you, and we want to get things done, and we will report out as soon as we have something.
Thanks, Caitlin. That's very helpful. So my quick second question is, you mentioned, yeah, Marrow is not in the public right of way. We have a private pergola that we lease from our landlord, pergola space, right? So we're looking at covering that up with an awning to make it like a, you know, a covered room. So I understand that would fall under, you know, just a closed enclosed space. But it's also a historic district. So what's the guidance on next steps for getting an awning covering approved, also from a fire and buildings perspective, and including heating and egress requirements?
So these are, again, the issues that we're trying to work out right now, especially with DFD. You know, we've had requests come in for heaters, we've had requests come in for fire pits through the winter, and we just really need to decide on what's safe and what's allowable and where and when that can happen. And then the historic district, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about it, but we will be vetting it through them as well. Again, I apologize that we don't have all the answers today, but I want everybody to feel confident that they're being worked on.
You may want to reach out to the Historic Commission as to whether a temporary, because it sounds like what you're talking about is a temporary covering, not a permanent modification of it. So you may want to reach out to them to find out if that would be something that you would need a permit for, even before you know what the rules are, the full rules are, because at least asking that question of them might be a good idea. And of course, there's 2 issues I want to, you'll have to start thinking of as you prepare for winter. As I mentioned, the snow, you have to be cognizant when you design your layout that that snow won't create a problem for your proposed layout. And that for my program, I'll be sending out to restaurants recommendations on looking at their ventilation system for the indoor area.
All right, thank you. I mean, I think the challenge here is the company I found, Belle Isle Awning, their lead time is 4 to 6 weeks. So I have to move pretty quickly in order to secure, you know, the work and get it ready in time. So I'll probably, yeah, start some drawings with my architect and reach out to the Historic Commission to just get their, you know, give them a heads up. But yeah, take it from there and wait for guidance from your departments as well. Thanks.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, thank you so much. We've already started this, but George, did you have something you wanted to add in that?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to provide the phone number for Ping for the Historic District Commission staff, just in case you didn't have it already, given that she is located in a historic district, particularly the Merrill location. That's 313-224-1762. Again, 313-224-1762. And that's for the Historic District Commission staff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so we've already began, and so I just want to put this into everyone's ears so that we can hear from other people. We've already taken a look back, and now we're trying to be proactive. But what I would like to do is continue to be proactive and continue to look forward and give the businesses an opportunity to give their wish list for opportunities to operate during the cold weather if COVID-19 is still impacting their businesses. Remember, I'd like to hear, because I know everyone has to have some type of idea, and you guys are out there doing it every day. We're working behind the scenes. We would like to hear from you, your wish list that could possibly help impact your business and help your business. We will be writing things down. We will be trying to check those things out to see if it's possible to be able to happen. Remember to raise your hand within the Zoom application by clicking raise hand or by pressing the ALT button, Y for Windows, ALT plus Y, or the option plus Y if you're on an Apple computer. If you are a business owner or representing a business on the phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Who has ideas? And I know you all have to have thought about this to say, I wish this could have happened. I wish this could happen. We want to hear your ideas. Ron. Can we unmute Ron, please? Okay, Ron.
Hi. Again, thanks again, Brenda Jones, for hosting this this meeting. It's very important that we at least understand who we need to contact and what we need to do to move forward in the winter months. We're a new business. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. How's this? All right. Yep. So I'm the general manager here at Society. We just kind of reopened. We were Studio 51 at one point, and then we kind of reopened in November. And of course, we had to shut down in March for the COVID disaster, and we reopened for the summer months. So yeah, we're in that situation where we're trying to make sure that our next few dollars are spent correctly, and either we go one direction or the other. So it'd be really nice to have some guidance from the city to say, hey, if you guys went this direction, then this is the way to go. If you go in another direction, you know, just basically which direction to go before we go out on our own and spend a ton of money and end up, you know, not being in compliance with Scott's department and buildings and safety. So it'd be nice to get either a liaison such as Adrian. I know he's probably got thousands of other businesses also tugging at him, but we'd also like some guidance just to kind of understand what direction to go in. Some of our ideas we have are containers, food trucks, putting a tent out in the back, some other ideas. So we're kind of at that point of trying to decide which direction to go.
So, and I can understand the challenges for businesses in being able to adapt. I've seen many businesses that spent a lot of money on things that they felt would help them to adapt for the reopening, and then saw the executive orders changed. Certainly bar places that were a bar only especially felt that issue. And that's the one uncertainty that is hard to predict, because we don't get any more insight from Lansing on what they're considering on the executive orders, any advanced warning any more than you do on those. And so one thing I would caution is, you bring up a good point, is be careful on how much money you spend on something that is anticipating what the rules from Lansing will be coming down the road. I know that's hard to say, but that definition of an indoor space created a lot of issues where people had been setting up the things that now, by the definition, was now an indoor space, and that happened just simply by adding a definition to the FAQ. Certainly the issues relating to the executive order said that dance floors are closed, and then they went further and said that dance permits for on liquor licenses are suspended, which meant that any dancing by customers was a violation of the liquor license, whether it was a dance floor or dancing at their table. And so some of those things we've had to then share and interpret those to restaurants and bars as they change. We do, every time the executive order comes out, we do update a document that's on our website that gives a summary for food service establishments and for bars and nightclubs about what the executive orders say. But coming back to it, I can only say choose carefully what you spend money on, because obviously that's this is a marathon for a business. And if you spend a lot, I ran into businesses that spent a whole bunch of money on plexiglass to put between booths, which the executive orders simply say the tables have to be spaced apart, so that they spend a lot of money on plexiglass that doesn't accomplish much in terms of their amount of business they're able to do. I wish I had a better answer for that. But what I would say is reach out to your inspector with something you need an interpretation on the executive order as it currently stands, and we can get that back to you. We'll review the question and get back to you that answer. I have a team that essentially is full-time on COVID-related issues.
Ron, I'll add this minor piece, and I guess I'm echoing what Caitlin said earlier. We don't have all the answers today, but I know we have an internal group that is, we're meeting this week, and we'll continue to meet so that we can get a lot of the answers to the questions on here. So this is, we're not going to get all of the answers to you, but I'm glad that the questions are coming in so that we can address those when we meet collectively.
Ron, I just texted you too, so we've been in good communication. So I'll come out this week, but we'll all meet together as a team and then bring the information back to you.
Anything else? Any other suggestions or any comments for your wish list? Now, I know you all are not shy, and I know there's some things that you have thought about and said, I wish this could happen, or this might make business easier. This is the time for you to share with us. I see 2 hands have been raised. If my staff can help me out, because I can't see both screens at one time.
So if caller 149, if you are unmuted, please speak.
And also the representative from, is that Care Plus Air? You are unmuted also.
Yes, thank you. I did have a question and or a comment. My company, Care Plus Air, actually represents a number of commercial business owners that fall under restaurants and other such establishments. And I am wondering what we might be able to expect in terms of signage parameters coming from either the city or the state that our restaurant owners can point to when questioned by their patrons that they are in fact complying and that there's a reason why they do things. And it would be nice to know that there's that kind of support coming from either the health groups or the building department that says, it's not just us making up the rules, but in fact, please look at the posted signage. We have reduced occupancy loads. We have different square footages per occupant, that sort of thing. Has there been any discussion, thought, or anything about using that as a way to kind of help interface at the public level?
So there's, first of all, I will steer people towards the DetroitMeansBusiness.org website. they do have quite a few good signs on that website that are printable to be able to use or adapt from. The Michigan Restaurant Association did put out signage specific for restaurants and that address that. We did send out, and we also sent out some signage that we have on our website. In terms of talking to your customers, I don't have a problem with you blaming the health department or the governor for what the rules you're having to impose on your customers are. Certainly, that's not something that you're deciding they have to wear a mask. This is what the executive order says, and that the health department and police department are saying that, yes, that is the rule that you have to impose on your customers. So feel free to make us the bad guy and say, listen, I understand, but I have to do this, or the health department will be coming after me, or the police department will be coming after me. Make us the bad guy. And tell them they can talk to Commander Hayes if they don't like it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And I see 149. The last three digits of your phone number are 149. You are unmuted.
Yes, hello. My name is Johnny Cannon, and I'm calling from a newly opening restaurant opening this upcoming October for Joe Louis Southern Kitchen. And really was just reaching out because I know some key people on this call, like Adrian. Your name has been mentioned to me before, just pertaining to the nightlife and restaurants. And I know a lot of answers. You all don't have all the answers today, but just want to see where can we get some direct contacts so as things are changing, if we have any questions directly, that we can get some answers and don't just have to go down to the city or cold call and try to get those answers. Will your email address or anything be available?
I'd love to introduce you to the district business liaisons. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Lily Hamburger. I'm with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. And we have a team of district business liaisons that our whole purpose is to help business owners such as yourself navigate the city and figure out what you need to do. So I'd like to give you my contact information. Do you have a location for your restaurant that you're planning to open?
Yes, it's at 6549 Woodward, and right at Woodward and West Grand Boulevard.
Okay. All right. I believe that is District 5, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to connect you with my colleague. Her name is Mickey Godfrey.
Okay.
Your district business liaison. So if you'd like to take down her information, I'll give it to you now. And then, like I said, our team's job is to connect people with the resources all over the city, whether it's a city department that you need help navigating or a business consultant or some other business resource. Mickey can help you out. So let me give you.
I'm ready whenever you are.
So Mickey's phone number is 313-452-19.
19. Can you say the last two again, please?
It's 313-452-1926.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And since you mentioned opening a new restaurant, you'd want to go to our website, detroitmi.gov/food safety, and look for the links on opening a new restaurant and plan review. You would have to go through the plan review process, which is mandated in the state food law, and building safety. Glenn's colleague, Charles Reed, oversees the plan review at building safety that will in most cases be required as well. We recommend that you start the process for the health department and building safety essentially simultaneously, because both processes interrelate to each other. And if you have questions, you can call our main number, 876-0135, and they will have either your inspector for that area or our plan review people reach out to you to answer questions you might have after you've reviewed the material on the website.
Well, what I'll say, we're a little bit further ahead. We're actually going to be calling for final inspections. I've been dealing with Carrot Green, and as well as I've already been permitted with the city. Yeah, we're in the process of looking to open possibly like October 14th. So we're just going to be calling for inspections over the next couple of weeks. I just was really just saying, I know
good luck.
Yes, thank you very much. I used to own Newcenter Eatery, so I was in the Newcenter area for 16 years. And so we've relocated around the corner, and I've partnered with, Joe Louis, and that's where we bring in his dad's legacy back through the restaurant to start. So, yes.
Well, then you know your Inspector Taja well, I guess.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But I definitely appreciate getting Nikki Godfrey's number. I'm sorry.
I also just want to take the opportunity to give kudos to Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson talked to me several months prior to COVID-19 as he was about to open his restaurant about curbside service for restaurants who are like in areas such as Woodward and the Boulevard, where there is very limited parking, and how could they do curbside service. And so we were introducing an ordinance for curbside service, working with Johnny. So I have to give him those kudos for coming up with, coming to me with that idea for the city of Detroit. And as you know, it worked out very well because everything was almost in place when COVID-19 occurred for curbside service, and the restaurants were able to do curbside service. So thank you, Johnny, for everything that you have been doing inside the city of Detroit, and your ideals that you have also given to me and given to others. So I just wanted to give kudos where kudos were due.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Definitely. Thank you.
I see, did anyone else want to comment or give their phone number to anyone on that? Adrian,
Madam, absolutely. My phone number is 570-7497.
Can you repeat it one more time, Adrian? I'm sorry. I'm ready.
570-7497.
7497. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Definitely. Good stuff.
Madam President, can we ask Lily to please give the DEGC website so others can look up their small business district liaison in case they want to get in contact with that person for their district?
I absolutely can. We can go, anyone who is in need of help navigating either city departments or nonprofit resources for your business, you can find your district business liaison at degc.org/district-business-liaison. And you can also navigate to it if you just go to our small business section of our website, you'll find it there. And while I'm talking about websites, I'll reiterate something that Amanda said earlier. DetroitMeansBusiness.org is a great place also to access resources if you're looking for things like financing or the latest executive order. We're compiling a lot of small business information at DetroitMeansBusiness.org. So both of those websites will be helpful to you. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else need to give a phone number out or a website out? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move to Corktown Business. They have their hand raised.
Yes, sorry. Thank you, Madam President. Just more of a general follow-up question. Obviously, when the shutdown occurred, that was right at the beginning of the business licensing process for most of us. And I know that we were graciously issued an extension, but I think that extension is coming to an end here fairly quickly. And I've had several of my businesses that have reached out that have had some trouble navigating the online process for the renewal of their license. I don't know if anybody can comment about that.
All right. Are you giving reference to the buildings and safety, the license there with business license, Kevin Jones shop?
Correct.
Okay, so if there's trouble with that, we typically, we do have a business system support number. However, I'll give you my number and they can just speak with me and I'll put them right in contact with the manager of that area. My number is 313-400-9846. Glenn
Give
Davis.
your name and department again, because everyone is not on Zoom. Some are on the phone.
Okay, I'm Glenn Davis. I'm the Chief of Construction Inspections, but I have a little sway in getting things done in other departments as well.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
And for those that are restaurants, and that sounds like what that might be because he talked about the business license expiring just as COVID was hitting. For any restaurant, as soon as you've renewed your food service license online with us, we have an online site that's on that detroitmi.gov/food safety for renewing the food service license. Then we have a system set up that building safety business license center will see that we've approved you from the health approval for that business license renewal. And if you have any problems with the food service license, you can certainly call 313-876-0135. That's 876-0135. And we did give an extension on the renewal of the food service licenses, but that extension is winding down. So if anyone on the call hasn't renewed their license, we would encourage you to do that now.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else?
I can share an email address for the licensing center that Mr. Davis mentioned. They have a helpful email. It's blcstaff@detroitmi.gov. And we've been successful directing business owners to that who are facing the same license renewal process that you mentioned.
Thank you, Lily.
My pleasure.
I'm going to have to call you, Glenn, since you have that influence going on. Okay. Anybody else have something on their wish list? All right, this is the opportunity. Don't miss this opportunity. And I'll always say no question or no comment is a dumb question or comment unless you don't give it or unless you don't ask. And then you leave and say, God, I wish I would have asked that. Probably someone else is saying the same thing. That's dumb. I'm not going to ask that. This is your opportunity. We want to see your business succeed. Okay, I see hands up, 149. If you unmute yourself, 149. Okay. You unmute yourself, 149. Mr. Carson, I think that's you if you unmute yourself. Okay. You are unmuted, 149. You're back muted. Can you unmute yourself, 149? Okay. We can hear you now.
Okay, this is Johnny Cannon again. I just had a question pertaining to, when I listened to everything that the news, of course, the reports we're getting back, they're talking about the winter time, having issues with COVID and coming back around. And this was something we kind of talked about internally with our team as far as when everyone was getting the PPP and disaster loan, there was nothing for those who had already committed into the middle of their construction project, and we just had to sit idle. And I guess this may be to the Detroit economic growth. Will there be any grants or any financial help potentially for the new startup businesses? Because most businesses had to be in business for a year, and that's who was able to apply for the monies. But to those who are in the midst of their first year and getting open, just wondering, is there any thoughts that we would be able to this prayerfully we don't have to have that issue, but if it does happen, will there be anything for us new startups?
Yes, that's a good question. So I've always encouraged people to just apply for the grants unless it says explicitly that you have to be in business a certain number of years. Definitely apply because they're all competitive and they all will evaluate you based on the different criteria that the different grant programs have. So even if you're a startup in your first year, I definitely would recommend applying. Now, there are a lot of Detroit specific grants that are closed at this time, but we also know there are new pots of money appearing all the time. Since COVID started, there have been grants that come and go and grants that are resurrected when we thought they were closed. So the place to keep an eye on all of those grant opportunities that come about and are changing week to week is the Detroit Youth Business website under financial assistance. So there's a place there where you can search both grants and loans and put in criteria for your search, such as I'm a startup or I've been in business less than 1 year or whatever the criteria is, and it will help you find the resources. So just the true nature of the situation is it's just changing every week, and there will be new things that come and grants that close all the time. So I would recommend keeping an eye on that site. And then if it doesn't say explicitly that you have to be in business a certain amount of time, I would just put your hat in the ring every time.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And the website you said is DetroitNewBusiness.com?
DetroitMeansBusiness.com.
Oh, means business. Okay. Well, thank you.
All right.
Okay, I also see Terry Denise. Terry Denise, I can't see the last name. If you unmute yourself. Okay, you are unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize. This has been an amazing session.
I can't hear you. Hello, Terry?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
How about now? Okay. This has been a really great session, and I appreciate the opportunity to participate. Unfortunately, my participation was limited because I am one person that has a business, but I have a full-time job. So with this being during the daytime, it was very difficult for me to be 100% focused on the discussion, and I really don't want to miss any of the great resources and information that was shared. Is it possible to get a replay of this discussion as well as a list of the resources that were shared? Because I was only able to capture so much in between a meeting that I had the entire time that we were on the phone.
Did you all hear a question?
It says the meeting's being recorded, so I assume that's a possibility.
Council President, the meeting will be available on your Facebook page and then also on your YouTube channel.
Thank
so
you.
Make sure that you get the links for that. And also, if anyone is not on Council President's email list, you're going to get the information at the end how to join. And Linda Wesley always sends out the links for our meetings that we have. So you'll be able to get it that way also.
And speaking of
Perfect,
grants,
thank you.
Speaking of grants that and other resources, besides the excellent DetroitMeansBusiness.org website for restaurants, you may want to go to the Michigan Restaurant Association or the Detroit Restaurant Association website, which is one and the same. And they have they put up on their advice on for restaurants on how to do a lot of financial issues related to not just obviously in general, but also specific to COVID. So they had excellent advice on how to maximize your likelihood of getting PPP, and they do list other grant and loan programs that are available.
Okay. Thank you. I do see Corktown Business with their hand up. Corktown Business.
Hi, two things. The first is with the round of changes that the state made with the liquor control laws. One of the changes was the allowing of what they called like an outdoor recreation area or district where people would be able to take alcohol in identifiable cups out of licensed establishments onto the streets of, like I say, particular areas or districts. I was wondering if that was on the radar of anybody at the city to do that in any of the commercial districts in the city. And if it's not, Corktown would be happy to volunteer to be a pilot. So that was my first question. And then I have a second question or comment. No, actually, I'll wait for an answer on the first one because I don't want to confuse anybody.
Did anyone want to respond to the first question? Do I have a response as to whether or not that's on the radar of the city, the first question?
That, I think, starts as a zoning question, potentially. I know there had been concerns expressed, and I've had feedback from some of my peers in other areas where they did establish that zone, and they started having problems with too many people crowding into the area. So I would certainly, if someone is moving forward a proposal for that, I would make sure how to control access to the area or control crowds should be part of any such proposal.
So what we can do, Council President Jones, what we can do, I can get you in contact with our zoning manager to make sure that that question gets answered.
That'd be great. Thank you. And my second comment is, and this is something that the Corktown Business Association is looking at proposing in an effort to help. We have several. Well, unfortunately, one just closed, but we have several restaurants in Corktown that have really small footprints. You know, I'm talking that they, you know, under normal circumstances, they only seat, 20 or so people. So one of the ideas that we had, and actually, stealing it obviously from another city, is doing what they call a ghost food hall. And we have already identified a potential location. That's a 20,000 square foot part of a facility that's not being used currently, part of actually a nonprofit. So it would also benefit this particular nonprofit. But basically you go into this very, very large space and you outfit it with tables and chairs and, the ability to do some entertainment, all socially distanced just because of the size of the space. And then what you do is you allow restaurants to deliver their food there to individuals and families during the day parts and they can actually eat at this facility. So it's going out to eat at some places that either may normally not even be open. An example of that would be Brooklyn Street Local, or a place that's going to be pretty much impossible to get into, like IMA over here in Corktown. Allow you to go and to this very large facility and order things to eat from several different locations, even if you wanted to. So I don't know, from a permitting and licensing perspective, for the health department, there'd obviously be no food service, preparation or even distribution that would take place, other than a delivery driver, walking in with a bag of food and making the handoff to the end user.
So if I can just jump in, because that was a zoning question and a licensing question, let me give you the first email address for Jada Filson so she can respond to the zoning question. Her email address is philsonj@detroitmi.gov.
Thank you.
And I was going to say that send me a email with a detailed description and include the restaurants that would be considered for part of this. What we would want to do is, obviously there's zoning and business license issues that would have to be addressed, but we'd want to look at the, not just the COVID safety, but the food safety issues. And we'd want to have the individual restaurants that are participating to be putting together their procedures on how they would be ensuring safety. So we'd have their inspectors, the inspector for the area, work with the on that if it moves forward. But obviously the zoning and business license issues would also have to be addressed.
And let me add the email address for business licensing so you can email the manager over business licensing as well. It's Jones, JONESKEV @detroitmi.gov. That's Kevin Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I want to just thank you all, and the city representatives took notes for consideration. So thank you all for your ideas, and thank you for sharing. And they will work to develop a plan for the restaurants, for the hospitality and the nightlife operations that will still be impacted by the social distancing requirements during the cold weather. Again, let me just remind you all also that the business contact information will be shared with the mayor's office and with our corporate partners. The next, I'm going to move on down the agenda, and I am going to ask Laura, a best practice consultant, if she would please give a brief talk about how businesses can rethink their business model if conditions prevent them from operating as they have in the past. For instance, restaurants may offer outside catering for extra revenue. Laura?
Thank you, Madam President, for giving me this opportunity. It's been very informative. I'm so happy that you were able to pull so many resources together for what is considered the lifeblood of Detroit. Our retail district is really where things happen, and we see a lot of growth and demand in that area. I'm really excited to say that I'm really surprised of how many small businesses there are that have actually adapted their own plans, because their resilience is just something they recognize that they have to stay afloat. But for those of them who haven't had a chance to actually rethink their actual business model, it makes a lot of sense to look at some of the other markets that have had a chance to actually scale this COVID challenge, who's had an opportunity to look at unit pricing and cost methods to address whether or not it makes a whole lot of sense for you to still operate the way you've always operated. For most businesses, when they first started, they actually had an understanding of how many units of sale in different categories they'd have every day. And with the restrictions that you see due to COVID and social distancing, those profit methods may not seem as realistic or obtainable as once before. So it makes a whole lot of sense for you to do two things, and that's the due diligence of checking the last quarter, maybe June, July, August, not so much quarter fit, but a time period, June, July, August of 2019, and compare your cost method to June, July, August of this year. You had to do things this year that you probably didn't do, we know for a fact, last year, with the integration of PPE, with the social distancing methods, with the reduction of being able to have indoor service. There are quite a few things. You got to first operate from a sense of education and experience, looking at your financial layout. You got to sort of understand your footprint. Now, when I think about that, I think, who are the partners in the city of Detroit who understands this retail world that I'm actually living in? Well, quite a few of our small businesses, and those in retail specifically, probably are funded through the Detroit Development Fund, through organizations like Invest Detroit, maybe Prosper Us Detroit, maybe the Michigan Women's Forward. And you don't need to go it alone. If you're not part of one of the restaurants association, or maybe you haven't figured out your real pivot plan, it makes a lot of sense for you to seek technical assistance from Detroit Means Business, but also from the lender side, as they have technicians who are proficient in helping you to realign your pricing and cost models. You can't keep doing business as you did business back last year, because you now have a different costing structure, and you need to be able to weather changes that may come in the fall and then the impending winter when you don't have as many clients in your actual space. So I like to tell people, not doom and gloom, just plan for the worst case scenario. None of us anticipated COVID-19. None of us thought that we would have to operate at 50% or 25% or make major modifications in order to be able to service the same population in what would be a 3 or 4 window opportunity. I'm going to tell you to change things up. Flip this deficit to something that can be more engaging. If you're not familiar with the term, take a little time and understand sort of what the young man from the Corktown Business Association mentioned. There's an academic term, it's called economic gardening. So when you think about economic gardening, what it says is, how else can I actually increase or change my revenue model? So if I'm a brick and mortar and I'm selling, and I'm not, a fine dining restaurant, who might be able to utilize my facility? Great opportunity with a lot of regulatory compliance and permitting people on the line. If you could outsource your kitchen on days that don't make sense for you to actually operate, or during the hours that you're not in operation, there's a great way for you to maximize revenue opportunities. If you could partner then with organizations that have nice populations like sororities, sororities, fraternities, business associations, city council members, if they could go to your location and it's exclusive for their use, they feel comfortable with that. Create a special menu just for President Brenda Jones and her whole group and her whole team. And at $30 a pop, though your price has to increase, it sort of displaces that lost revenue, right? You've now flipped the script a little bit. You need to be in a situation where you can grab a market, drive the traffic, and coordinate your resources so you're better aligned to actually support and increase opportunities. One thing that we don't always think about is going back to our vendor relationships, where you get your inventory, where you get all your supplies, your paper goods, your dry goods. Think through that supply chain relationship. Think through that supply chain relationship. Oftentimes, that situation is addressed solely by buying in bulk. Well, it makes sense for you to be able to buy certain things in bulk, not only just your food, but your paper goods. How many other restaurants on the line have the same need as you? Why not collectively source things that you all need in tandem so that you can drive your costs down, right? You all need paper goods. You all need carryout containers. You all need disposable ware and cups and all the rest of it. Why not buy in bulk collectively as an organization right here in the city of Detroit? That would make a whole lot of sense for you to be able to control some of those pass-through costs that are just part of doing business. You can't do away with the PPE because you got to have it. Sanitation is now a whole new world that you've got to deal with. It just makes a lot of sense to think venture-related spaces in that organization. I'm going to wrap this up because I only have 5 minutes. When you think about considering other revenue generators, you really want to think, if I were a restaurant owner, I would become really proficient with what the Michigan Good Food Fund is doing. I look at the Detroit Food Coalition. I look at all the other food places, and we found out just in 2019, 5,600 new businesses came out of that space saying that they all want to be caterers, food truck operators, restaurateurs, all the rest of it, but they don't all have brick and mortar presence. Great opportunity for you to offer some Serve Safe training courses because your staff is licensed, you are licensed, you have a licensed commercial kitchen. You can then create the space. Think like the hair salons. On Monday, we know typically in Detroit, they don't operate, but they can use it as a training space for clinicians trying to operate and bring their space on board, helping people through their clinical boards and all the rest of it. Why can't you use the restaurant the same way? You saw a little bit of it with Centaur and Cliff Bales in years past, where they would go dormant on certain days and lease out the space as a venue to create opportunities and exercise spaces. Just a great way for you to sort of figure that out. But I'm also going to suggest that it's not a bad idea as a small business owner on the restaurant side to plan to increase your prices simply because your costs have gone up. It is high time to get into a position where price increase is necessary. It's just the cost of doing business. It is in demand, it is required, and is necessary for you to actually survive. We don't need to operate on affordable prices. We need to operate on sustainable prices.
Okay, thank you so very much for that great advice. And I'm taking notes as well. So if you guys are not taking notes, shame on you, but I'm definitely taking notes. And I don't have a restaurant, but I know people might come to me and ask me a question. So I'm definitely taking notes. I'm going to move on to Mr. Sullivan. And Michael Sullivan is the Director of Supplier Diversity for the Rock family of companies. Mr. Sullivan, can you talk about catering and vending opportunities with the Rock family of companies, please?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me today, Council President. And I'm very excited to talk about food and beverage and catering opportunities with the Rock family of companies. We do have preferred lists of suppliers that we're working with. And while we're not hosting active events today, we're excited to be ready to go when it's safe to do so again. And so we do all kinds of events, whether it's a lunch meeting, 10 people or under, a team member recognition event where we have a few thousand team members, and then something as large as our all company meeting or all company holiday party where we have thousands of team members here in Detroit. And our events team that really puts all these events on and does a phenomenal job. Super important to them to create an experience, and we like that experience to be kind of different and unique every time. So I'm excited to kind of talk about some of the specifics that our events team looks for with catering. One of the most important things is we look for flexibility. We rarely order off of a standard catering menu. We like a partner who's creative and flexible and can come up with unique culinary options to create a memorable experience. In addition to that, we like a partner to have good communication. A cultural norm within the Rock family of companies, and it's one of our isms, is responding with a sense of urgency is the ante to play. If you are a client, and I hope a lot of you are out there with Quicken Loans and you have your mortgage through Quicken Loans, it's super important that we respond quickly. And since we have that expectations as team members with our clients, we also have that same expectation when we work with suppliers. In addition to that, we like to work with suppliers that are very open to feedback. In our company, we truly believe feedback is a gift. And so I think any event, you can always look back and find inches around you to improve and do it a little better next time. And so someone that can positively take that feedback tends to be a good partner that our events team looks for. Additionally, someone that's attentive and detail oriented. We host over 400 events. We did that in 2019. And so we look with suppliers that take good notes, that understand what went well in an event, maybe where there was an opportunity and how things could change next time. That true partnership where we both can kind of think the same and kind of understand the expectations on both sides, we find to have more success with repeat caterers that we use, within our events team. We also, when we are doing screening in the process, our events team does like to sample the food to kind of understand, what it is and how it tastes and make sure that there's good communication and that expectations are widely understood. And then lastly, we just want to understand basic things like experience. How long have you been in business? What type of events have you done? And certainly seeing references and so that we can make a good educated decision on that. And so those are some of the core things that I heard out of our events team that, they specifically look for. I think we are all hoping very soon we return to some type of normalcy after this pandemic. And then I'm going to try to share my screen because I did get a few photos just so those that are watching from the Zoom or Facebook Live, you can get a good feel for, what specifically some of our events look like. So let's hope that I can get this right. Sharing my screen now. And let me make it larger. All right. So here, this was more of a sit-down dinner. So this is probably more on the formal side of an event we had. And so again, the creativity, something that you may not see as standard, you know, we feel those type of businesses tend to earn more business with us. So we find that creativity to be important. But again, we have events of all different sizes and scales and formal and less formal. So again, just wanted to give you basic flavor of some of the things we're looking for. And I didn't have lunch, and so this certainly looks very appetizing right now. So I certainly miss those days. And then here are just some samples. This is a dessert table. We have, you know, some other food that's a little less formal. We have tacos and sliders and other things. So it really just kind of depends on the audience and the type of event we have going on. And then this is actually one of our team member honors awards ceremony. And it looks like this was probably down the street at the Fox. And so we had 2,000 technology team members here. And so as they were coming in, because there were so many of them, we did a box lunch option. So you can tell that, you know, our events really do kind of range in size and scale. And we really all are always looking for, you know, good and additional Detroit-based and diverse-based suppliers. And so I wanted to provide you just with my contact information. I'm our Director of Supplier Diversity, and my job really is to be a matchmaker between diverse and local partnerships and suppliers. And then my job is to match it within our procurement team and our buyers and make sure we're being really inclusive in our buying process. And so it's, these events are always really great, and I appreciate the forum. Certainly outreach has been very different during the COVID pandemic. So it's nice to be able to get out there and try to connect with more people. And I look forward to, you know, additional opportunities that may come in from this from Detroit-based businesses. And then quickly, I wanted to plug another program that we have for those that are watching or listening in. It's the Detroit Card Vendor Program. And so we currently have roughly, I looked at the website earlier before this call, 100 businesses signed up, whether you are a restaurant or you are retail. And this card is only can be spent with those participating businesses, and they are all located in Detroit. So if you are on the phone right now and you're a restaurant, please visit www.getthedetroitcard.com and register yourself as a vendor. Additionally, you can buy gift cards. As a company in the family of companies, we often incentivize our team members with these gift cards because it's so important for us to be intentional and make sure we're spending money locally here in Detroit, since that's where we're headquartered. So again, it's a great opportunity. Again, I guess for the phone, I'll repeat my email address for those of you who are not watching. My name is Mike Sullivan. It's MikeSullivan @rockcentraldetroit.com. Again, that's Mike Sullivan @rockcentraldetroit.com. So again, a lot of good opportunities. I again appreciate the platform today to talk specifically about food and beverage opportunities. And then I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Mike. Great information given. Hopefully you all wrote that phone number down, wrote that email down, so that if you need some additional information or if you need any assistance, you can contact Mike or Laura, because Laura's given some good information too. We are having a great time, but we are wrapping up. And so as we are about to wrap up, I just want to go back to my businesses and ask if you have any questions that you would like to ask or any final comments that you would like to give. If so, you can raise your hand in the application or press the ALT +Y for Windows or options +Y for Apple computers, or *9 if you are on the phone. We'd like to hear from you if you have any final comments that you would like to give or any additional information that you would like to ask. I would also like to say to you, Mr. Sullivan, that we will also be sharing the business contact information with you as well, so that you can contact the businesses if you wish as well. All right, anything from the businesses? I see one hand, and that is Bravo. Bravo S. You are unmuted.
How you doing, Madam President?
That's by the best. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just a simple question. Of course, I represent more of the bar nightlife sector. We had a question in regards to, before COVID, for the bars and venues that weren't able to do high volume dine-in sales or food sales. Of course, before COVID, it was different requirements. Now after COVID, they have a certain percentage of food requirements for these venues to be able to operate. I was wondering if going into the winter, if we were to structure or prepare ourselves for a less dine-in and more delivery service and still hit those food sale requirements as a venue, would that be sufficient for the order that's in place right now?
Who wants to respond to that?
Scott may be the best candidate for that.
Okay, Adrian.
No, I think Scott Withington would probably be the best. Is that Scott raising his hand though?
Scott, are you here? Are you still? Scott is raising his hand. Scott, can we?
Letting me unmute myself. I assume you're referring to the governor's executive order that references if 70% or more of your sales are from alcohol, then indoor sales are forbidden. Of course, the caveat that we don't know what the executive orders will change as we go forward. But as it's currently worded, that's based on your 2019 revenue. Unless you were not open in 2019, then it's based on your 2020 revenue. So your sales this year, if you were below 70% at alcohol in 2019, do not at present change what would not be affecting it. But of course, that executive order could change in the coming months. So I wish I could give you a better answer, but that's if the main concern as to whether your sales are pushing towards 70% right now, that if your 2019 sales were below 70%, then that doesn't come into play.
Okay, because we are newer in that form, and so we don't have 2019 sales to represent.
Then it is, as I'm reading it, your sales to date. So you may want to keep an ongoing eye, and have your accountant keep an eye on it as to what that looks like, and give yourself some advance warning.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Brenda.
Any additional questions or comments? If there are no additional questions or comments from the restaurants or from the businesses, I am going to ask my city colleagues if you have any final comments. Are there any additional comments from my city? Yes, Scott? If you can, okay, you are unmuted.
I will just give the push for encouraging everyone to get the flu vaccine. One of the concerns we have going forward is if we had a large rise in flu cases at the same time as COVID cases were rising, that could create a situation where the hospitals are overrun. So getting your flu vaccine, the state gave advice that that for younger people, you can get the vaccine at any time. For people over 65, they should hold off until sometime in October to get their vaccine, because it does last for about 6 months, and you want to make sure it lasts through the whole flu season.
Okay, thank you. Any additional comments from my city colleagues? Any additional comments? I don't see any hands raised. So that means everyone is going to be shy. Does anybody, Jay Parker, is that your hand raised? I can't tell. Does anyone
Yes,
have any?
President Jones, can you hear me? I'm having
Yes.
connectivity issues. My apologies. I'm so sorry. That's why you don't see my photo up. I'm connected through my phone. I just wanted to make note for any building questions or concerns, please go to the BSEED website. And if you click on BSEED divisions, you'll see business licensing, permit requirements, construction and property maintenance. And all of our step 2 processes are highlighted there. So the gentleman that asked a question about not spending his money on the wrong items and then not end up getting his CFC or his CFA for his restaurant, if you go on there, it's kind of like a report card of how to, so that you don't do that and then you still have issues or building code issues later on. So I just wanted to make note of that. So please go on our website and click on the different divisions, and then you'll see that information there. And then you'll also see contact information. So if you need to reach out to someone just to get clarity, that's also available to you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Parker.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Toni? Can you unmute Toni, please? Well, unmuted. Oh, hold on, Toni, you got muted back. Okay, you are unmuted.
I wanted to say thank you for having us, and on behalf of the Office of Contract and Procurement, we hope that everyone continues to look to our website and support the Detroit Bid Week. We have lots of opportunities out there. This is an amazing week for everyone in the city of Detroit. It's the first time, and I just hope that everybody take a look at that. Our website is www.detroitmi.gov/supplier, and have a great day.
Thank you, Toni. And I think, will we be seeing you again on Friday? On Bid Week
You'll
on
see
Friday?
Mr. Jackson. Yes.
Okay, all right, all right. Any additional questions or comments from anyone that was shy as I asked it the first time?
Madam President, I am certainly not shy, but I want to make one last comment. There's a report that indicates that a lot of our small businesses in the retail sector has not actually utilized Google for all of its wonderful prowess. If you've not updated your office hours or your business hours, your menu selections, your curbside, your carryout, great opportunity to do that, because they're really using those algorithms and analyses to help drive traffic to your location. Please take some time to update Google so that they can help direct traffic to your location.
Thank you for that, Laura. I really appreciate you saying that, because I have been to several businesses that was closed with no updated information, and the only thing I could do was shake my head. So thank you so much for that, because it does kind of make a person wonder, okay, so they say they open these hours, what are their hours for real? So thank you so much for that. And that's so important. That is so important. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, let me also indicate, someone asked about if they will be able to view this. I just want to let everyone know that this will also be on the city's YouTube page. as well as my Facebook page. If you would like to have it emailed to you, my email queen, Linda Wesley, will be emailing it out as well. And I say Linda Wesley because once she gets your email address, she is definitely the email queen. She emails you everything. And so you'll get all the information from us that will be able to help assist you. Again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us this afternoon. Thank you to all of my business partners. Small businesses are so important to me. I am a former small business owner, not a restaurant. I did do catering, but also I owned a women's shoe store in the David Whitney building. And so small businesses are so important. We didn't have the resources that we have now available back in the 80s, 70s and 80s that we have now available. And I am always willing to assist our small businesses. I'm willing to assist anybody, but small businesses are so important. As we know, there are more small businesses than there are corporations these days. So I want to see you all succeed. I know you want to see yourself succeed. That's why you went into business. So it is so important. Thank you to all of the city partners that have also joined us and giving great information. Thank you to you, George Etheridge, who stepped in at the last minute to be on a standby just in case there was any questions that needed to be answered from the CPC standpoint. I know you're always willing, ready, and able. So I just wanted to give you a big shout out for saying thank you, because I know this was not on your agenda and was not planned for you, but we thank you and we appreciate you so much. It is always good seeing your faces, seeing your names just pop up. It's a good thing to me because, again, I know you are alive if I just see your name. In these days, we have just started taking so much for granted. And the one thing I have learned, if I never knew with the COVID-19, is to take no one for granted, to take nothing for granted. And I don't take life for granted at all. I don't take any minute, and I say minute, not hour, any minute that I'm breathing, I do not take it for granted. I'm thankful to God that I am breathing, being a COVID-19 survivor. I thank you all for being here. I know that you have great ideas, and we are still awaiting to hear any of your ideas. This week is Detroit Bid Week, and on Friday at 10 a.m., I ask you to join me on www.facebooklive.com/CP Brenda Jones. You asked me, you heard me ask Toni if I would be seeing her again. So at 10 a.m. this Friday, we will be doing another small business empowerment fair that will focus on contracting opportunities with the Detroit Building Authority, the Department of Public Works, and the Detroit Water and Sewage Department. We also will hear how to get your business certified and receive technical assistance. I see you, Boysie Jackson. I appreciate all that you do as well. I want to also give my staff a big shout out. My staff make things so possible and so easy for me. So I truly appreciate my staff who works extremely hard. I receive texts at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. They're still up working, trying to get all the information available for all of our constituents, all of our businesses. I want to thank you so very much for everything that you do. My staff help make my day much easier, and I truly appreciate them and love them so very much for everything that they do. Again, it has been an enjoyable afternoon. I know it was beneficial to me, and I hope that it was beneficial to you as well. Although we are physically not in the office, we are definitely working. You can leave a voicemail message at our office, 313-224-1245. We are checking the voicemails very, 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 very rapidly. And so if you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to call us or Facebook us or email us at bjones_mb@detroitmi.gov. You can again view this on our Facebook page or on the city's YouTube page, or contact Linda Wesley and she will email it out to you. We look forward to much success for your businesses. We look forward to continuing to talk to our business partners, talk to our city partners as we continue to move forward. I say to you again, please remember, we are still in a pandemic in crucial times. Don't forget to put on your mask. Don't forget that hand sanitizer. Use that hand sanitizer. Don't forget to do the thing that not do the thing that I am often very guilty of, and that is just what Glenn just did, and that's put our hands in our face, because that's how the germs go and spread so easily. By putting your hands in your face, on your face. I'm one that's very guilty of that all of the time, and I definitely keep hand sanitizer around me. And as I note that I'm about to do that, I grab my hand sanitizer and use my hand sanitizer first. Again, it has been great. We are always here to assist you when needed. Thank you for joining us. And I say, have a wonderful Wednesday as we prepare to wake up again on Thursday. Because I think all of us want to see another day. God bless you. I love you. And until we meet again, be safe and thank you for joining us. This will conclude our session for today. Bye-bye, everyone.